Good morning. I've got my friend Michael Chadwick from Chadwick Architects joining me today. We've co-presented and we've also got mutual clients. Michael is also an inner Westie, so we have a lot in common. And today he's walked through the door with a plate of brunetti, so we're all a bit excited. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Today we're going to talk about preparing for a contract and being able to look past the excitement of a contract and looking at the invisible details and being prepared to do the due diligence. So Michael, tell me how that relates to your work.
Sure. Well, I mentioned earlier to you before we spoke on camera an analogy about an iceberg. So the building process from the first time you start designing through to the end of construction really can appear like a bit of an iceberg, where preparation is really the key to making sure your process is very smooth and you're not paying over the odds for the end product. So,
what do you find when people aren't aware of, I guess, what's below the waterline? What are some of the things that can go wrong?
Well, there's heaps of things that could go wrong. You really want to firstly know what you're hoping to achieve. What is the purpose of doing the renovation or the addition or the new home? Are you thinking about flipping it, or are you thinking about it to be a forever home? Because the brief for each is very different, and the way you would make decisions is quite different as well. So if you're flipping a house, for example, you might make choices of materials and things that aren't necessarily to your personal taste. And your budget might be quite different to if you're investing for the long term for you and your family and how you want to live.
It's a really good point. We just did our forever home renovation, and I would be very anxious if we're looking at flipping our property right now. Because like a lot of homeowners, we just put our heart and soul into it and said yes to every exciting thing that we were asked to consider, and you can't approach it like that when you're looking at making a profit. You've obviously got to maximise profit.
Sure, yeah, you're right. I guess the other thing that I was thinking about was there are huge risks if you don't get all of the paperwork and the permits in place. Not only for safety, which is a huge concern when I'm designing something for a client, but also for being able to insure your project later on. If you've got the ambition to sell it, you'll be doing your due diligence to make sure that all permits are in place when you're buying a property.
We know all about those, yes.
And it's just not worth the risk. You can face having things torn down from the council, not being insured, and it's that having things lined up in terms of paperwork is a really key thing that we need to consider.
So it goes beyond just project cost overruns and time blowouts. It's also risk and difficulty in a future sale. They're really important points to note, and I'm looking forward to our next one. Thanks for joining me.
No problem.